信心百倍的打好这一场阻击战、总体战，打好这一场人民战争。
At midnight on April the 8th, 2020, the lockdown in Wuhan was lifted. Finally, people could leave the city.
解封离汉高速通道，有序恢复内外交通。加油！加油！
The lockdown had been in place since January the 23rd, 76 days in all. The people of Wuhan were finally able to enjoy the spring warmth. Their battle against COVID-19 had been a people's war, fought by the people, for the people, and of the people. In it, they had demonstrated the true Chinese spirit of facing up to and defeating all adversity. On January the 22nd, Kong Ling Shu and his colleagues, using big data, began to chart the spread of COVID-19 across China. The number of confirmed cases was growing, and across China, people were worried. Eventually, as the doctors came to understand the virus better, more patients were recovering and being discharged from hospital. The COVID-19 map, which had been glowing red for so long, was beginning to cool. Tibet, Qinghai, Fujian, Xinjiang, Anhui, one after another, provinces and regions were reporting that their number of confirmed cases had fallen to zero.
特别的欣喜，从来没有那么喜欢0这个数字。网友特别希望地图的颜色能够不断的变浅，变浅。
吃饱了啊，吃饱了就能回家了。
On March the 10th, the temporary treatment center at Hongshan Stadium served lunch to its patients for the last time. It was the last COVID-19 temporary treatment center to close down.
这里面很多那个菜都是全国各地的人捐赠给我们的，里面都是满满的爱心。
The temporary treatment centers had been havens from the onslaught by the epidemic. A total of 14 of them had been specially set up, caring for more than 12,000 patients with mild symptoms.
看我的头吗？他们帮我剪的。马上出院来跟我们讲，剪了一个头发。非常感谢你们，医生治好我们的病，你们治好了我们的心。
前几天都是下雨阴天嘛，然后今天天气特别好，春天来了，病毒也该消散了。
On March the 10th, when the last temporary treatment center closed, people all over China expressed the same sentiment. May you stay closed for good. Beginning on March the 17th, 42,000 medical workers who had come from all over China to help Wuhan began to say their goodbyes to the city.
我的队长，我的朋友，我的兄弟，谢谢，送别我的亲人，我们的恩人，也是我们的战友。
今天早上会给我们的患者发了微信，跟他们说了我们要回家了，他也给了我们很多，就是说了特别感谢我们的话。
什么是家人呢？共同生活在一栋房子里，然后共同面对困难，然后最后共同享受胜利的成果。
我也希望武汉人民能够不要经历这么多磨难，去重回岁月静好的平淡生活，这才是最好的生活。
想念这里的，想念这里的一切的。你们在武汉的这一段日子，加油！感谢你们用自己的实际行动践行了我们文艺天使救死扶伤、大爱无疆的崇高的职业精神，为你们感到骄傲和自豪。
When they arrived in Wuhan, it was winter. When they left, the city was covered with spring blossoms. Every winter, no matter how bitter, heralds a spring of hope. Midnight on April the 8th, 2020, was a historic moment for Wuhan. One city had gone into isolation to protect the whole country. But initially, few people would have predicted that the lockdown would last for as long as 76 days. With time passing painfully slowly, the people of Wuhan exhibited incredible strength, sacrifice, and dedication. President Xi Jinping, in a fond tribute, described Wuhan as a heroic city and its people as heroic people. They will be remembered in history for achieving the final victory over the COVID-19 epidemic. The new day starts with a bowl of hot, dry noodles.
热干面就是热的好吃。
Buses appeared in the streets again, and people resumed their daily routine. Normal life was returning to Wuhan.
我们印象中的那个武汉，它回来了，一切都重新开始了的感觉。
Never before, since the founding of the People's Republic in 1949, had China experienced an epidemic that spread so fast or so widely. COVID-19 had proved to be the most difficult public health emergency to prevent and control. The entire population of 1.4 billion fought the war against the disease, united in heart and mind and making countless sacrifices to achieve final victory. Liu Jiming, the president of Wuchang Hospital, was one of those who sacrificed their life. On January the 21st, Liu Jiming had been tasked with accepting 499 COVID-19 patients at his hospital. Liu himself wasn't feeling well at the time, but he worked round the clock, getting everything ready for the new patients.
我们都是一线的这个工作者，每个人都有自己的职责，你没有办法放弃的。
Within 3 days, Wuchang Hospital had made 504 beds available for COVID-19 patients. Meanwhile, Liu Jiming himself had tested positive for the disease and was admitted to the ICU. His wife Tsai Li-ping wanted to stay with him, but Liu dissuaded her, as she would have to take time off work. In a WeChat message, he told her, "I do need you with me, but you have so many patients who need you. You're the chief ICU nurse. Your patients need you, and your colleagues need you." Despite suffering from high fever, low blood oxygen, and sweating, Liu was still concerned about his patients and colleagues.
刘院长一早上就给我打电话，他说张主任，不能让我们医务人员太疲劳了，打疲劳战很容易把免疫力下降，很容易搞。那么我当时就眼泪就出来，我说刘院长，您千万要保重身体，早日的出院，早日的出院。
February the 11th was Liu Jiming's 51st birthday. He spent it in the ICU, fighting to conquer the coronavirus and return to duty. However, 7 days later, at 10:58 on February the 18th, his heart stopped beating. During the COVID-19 outbreak, more than 4,000 people in China died. In the war against the virus, hundreds of Communist Party members and frontline medical workers gave their lives. It was their selfless sacrifice that brought victory in the end. Qingming Festival, traditionally the day for remembering the departed, fell on April the 4th in 2020. Nationwide, flags were flown at half-mast to mourn those who'd been lost. President Xi Jinping, Premier Li Keqiang, and other government and party leaders, including Li Jianshu, Wang Yang, Wang Huning, Zhao Leji, Han Zheng, and Wang Qishan, attended a memorial service in Beijing. At home and overseas, people paid tribute to those who had sacrificed their lives. People grieved the loss of loved ones. May the dead rest in peace. May the survivors strive harder to build peace and unity in the world. With the dust from the battle finally beginning to settle, people could reflect on what they had experienced in the war against COVID-19.
我为武汉感到自豪，我们武汉挺过来了。
通过这场疫情，感觉更珍惜生命了吧，
更知道感恩。
那些特别危重的这样的病人能够坐起来了，能够下床了，这是我最激动的时刻。
我们积累的一些成熟的东西，我觉得我们应该把它拿出来，让大家能够按照一个比较合理的、科学的原则来救治患者，能救治更多的患者。
全国的医务人员紧急在大年30的晚上紧急驰援武汉，我觉得这是体现祖国强大的凝聚力和我们制度的优势。
总有那么一群人站在第一线，我想这可能就是人性之光。
病了那么多人，国家跟老百姓买单，国家没得财力，没得能力，不把老百姓放在心中，他能办得出这个事情，这就体现了我们党全心全意为人民服务。
我们中国人一定要这样，万众一心，团结一致，再大的难关我们都过得去。
COVID-19 has affected the whole world. It is a crisis humanity must face together. It has been a major test for governments and political parties the world over, revealing the extent to which they prioritize people's lives. In times of crisis, no political force other than the Communist Party of China could have led the country's 1.4 billion people to win the fight against COVID-19. President Xi Jinping commanded the battle and deployed the troops in person. He issued orders from the headquarters, inspected the front line, studied the overall situation, and coordinated all the forces. He was the pivot in the people's victory. He exemplified the principle of putting the people first, and he exhibited through his actions his true love as the leader of his people.
总书记提的要求很明确，就是要把人民群众的生命安全和身体健康放在第一位。应该说，这是我们人民至上理念的最集中的体现。 也是以人民为中心的发展思想最具体的运用啊。
People first is the overriding conviction of the Communist Party of China. During the unprecedented health crisis, this principle was held high as a banner by party members as they strove to translate it into action. During the war on the coronavirus, wherever people's lives were at stake, every force and every resource was concentrated on alleviating the suffering and winning the battle. When Wuhan was first confronted with this public health emergency, medical workers from all over China came to the rescue. Within a month, more than 42,000 of them had arrived on the Wuhan battlefield. Together with 540,000 local medical workers, they resisted the ferocious onslaught from the coronavirus. At a critical moment in the battle, President Xi Jinping visited Huashanshan Hospital in Wuhan.
您看望的这位81岁老人，当时病情十分危机，呼吸困难，严重缺氧，已神志不清。在他们的军训治疗下，我现在恢复得很好。
虽然你戴着口罩，但是我看到，你的精神状态啊还是非常好的。
非常好，
很有精神两只眼睛很有精神，我很高兴我希望你能够早日痊愈。现在啊，我们一定要把握住，一定要坚持下去。
好了没有？这次给我，这次给我，这次给我。
In the ICU, the doctors and nurses monitored their patients round the clock.
一般来说，艾克我们就上13之前一般就，那这个患者上了25天的艾克嘛，一直没有放弃啊。
好，先放松，平静一下，平静一下啊。
好，这个说几遍。
自己慢慢的试着发出声音，你现在可以发出声音了。
老婆。
对。
哎。对。太好了，老婆我爱。好。
在未来，经过积极的这样的治疗，他应该是可以按这个痊愈回家的啊，一关一关的过。
我们一定要敬畏生命，任何一个生命不要轻易从我们手底下溜走。你好，老先生，你看您点头，听得见吗？听得见我说话吗？听得见。
Among COVID-19 patients, it was the elderly with underlying health conditions who were the most vulnerable. Hospitals drew up personalized treatment plans for each patient to ensure that everyone received the most effective treatment. As a result, in Hubei, the recovery rate of patients in their 80s and above was close to 70%.
多亏着共产党的你们好干部啊、医务人员啊，救了我一条命，不顾自己家里安危，不顾自己的生命来挽救我们。
China brought together the best doctors, the most advanced equipment, and the most essential resources to ensure that every COVID-19 patient was given the best chance. As a result of these efforts, testing capacity and the recovery rate increased, and the infection and fatality rates were kept to a minimum. This success was a product of a strong belief in the principle of people first. During the lockdown, the whole nation had been deeply concerned about the livelihood of Wuhan's more than 9 million residents. How were they managing to get by while confined to their homes? Did they have enough food, clothing, and other essential supplies?
你们好，你们好，再坚持一下。好。
The
志愿者吗？
对。
爱心菜是什么人可以吃爱心菜啊？
只要是困难群众。
然后这个菜是送还是卖？低价卖？
卖是免费的，
免费的，
免费送。
每天吗？
一个星期2到3次。
一个星期2到3次。
对。
这个是
瘦肉，
也是平价的，大概多少钱一斤？10
元块钱一斤呢。
现在这个市价。
President Xi is always mindful of the welfare of the people. His concern was a source of particular comfort and encouragement for those fighting the coronavirus on the front line. It's in overcoming the severest trials that a party and government reveal their true nature. During the unprecedented public health emergency, the CPC came to the fore. More than 39 million members and officials fought on the front line, and a further 13 million ordinary members stepped forward as volunteers. Across the country, the disease control and prevention work was supported by 677,000 party committees in rural areas and 302,000 in urban areas. At Huoshanshan Hospital, there was a team of 6 lung and infectious disease experts from the military. All were in their 50s, and all had been CPC members for over 30 years. With experience of battling SARS and Ebola, they were among the first to enter the most dangerous environment, where they played a vital role in saving critically ill patients.
作为一名老党员、老军人，我们一定会和患者战斗在一起，一定会取得这场战役的全胜。
In this battle, every party committee became a fortress, and every party member became a standard bearer.
到党旗要扛着，是不是这个道理？让老百姓们看得到党旗，听得到党的声音，看得到党员的这个形象。
Intubation was regularly used in saving the most critically ill COVID-19 patients. But the procedure was highly risky for the doctors and nurses. At Wuhan Union Hospital, its 16-member intubation team were all party members. On their busiest day, they carried out 17 intubation operations.
作为党员，你要冲在前头，你要做先锋模范作用。
At the temporary treatment centers, every day produced a deluge of medical and ordinary waste. At the Jiang'an Temporary Treatment Center, where over 1,000 COVID-19 patients were treated, the cleaning team consisted of 50 workers, 8 of them Army veterans.
退伍的这些战士们嘛，退伍不退社，我们党员必须得要冲在群众前面，哪里最苦，我们党员应该站在哪里。
This dispatch team, consisting entirely of party and youth league members, was responsible for transferring an average of 1,000 boxes of urgently needed disease control equipment a day.
我是一名党员，我要对得起我胸前这个党徽。这个时候必须我们上，物资早1分钟运输前线，那么就能救更多的人。
At Hongshan Stadium Temporary Treatment Center, a party committee was responsible for distributing food and medicine to the patients and for answering their questions.
我觉得大事我做不来，但是小事能够做一点就做一点，我只做了自己一点点。
有什么困难的时候，他们老是第一时间往上冲，我也想像他们一样。
Some people were actually admitted to the CPC while serving on the front line. On March the 2nd, Professor Zhongnan Shan, a senior expert from the National Health Commission and a CPC member for 55 years, accepted the oaths of a group of new members.
我自愿加入中国共产党。
我自愿加入中国共产党，拥护党的纲领，遵守党的章程。
On the front line of the war against COVID-19, a total of 244,000 temporary party committees were established. 440,000 people applied to join the CPC, 25,000 of whom were admitted. On March the 15th, President Xi sent a reply to some young medical workers and party members who were born in the 1990s. The young people have fought together with the disease control and prevention workers with no fear of the danger or difficulty, manifesting the radiant power of youth, and they have passed the test, he wrote. The CPC Central Committee called on all its members to make donations to help alleviate the impact of the epidemic. President Xi and the other Politburo members led the way. By March the 26th, a total of more than 79 million CPC members had donated over 8.26 billion yuan. The epidemic was both trial and judge. During the fierce battle, every department of the central government and every local party committee and local government demonstrated outstanding commitment in fulfilling their duties. Those whose conduct on the front line had been exemplary were promoted to a higher position. Those who had neglected their responsibilities were demoted, and anyone who deserted their post was dismissed on the spot. The Communist Party of China was born at a time when China was undergoing severe trials, both domestically and internationally. It grew to maturity through a series of challenges and setbacks, and it became powerful in the course of overcoming numerous difficulties. In this new emergency, President Xi encouraged every party member to have the courage to assume responsibilities, the wisdom to adopt scientifically proven measures for controlling and preventing the disease, and the strategic awareness and capacity to coordinate, organize, and execute plans. He urged them to have stronger faith in victory and to nurture the qualities of responsibility, love, heedfulness, and self-improvement. The CPC's fundamental principle has always been to put the people first. Everything must be for the people and by the people. On January the 30th, the second harbor engineering company under the China Communications Construction Company was ordered to build, within 5 days, a biolab capable of carrying out 10,000 coronavirus tests daily.
没有图纸，没有人员，没有设备，没有物资，一无所有。
The project was divided into workable parts, each with a precise time frame. The workforce was divided into shifts to ensure that the work could continue 24/7. The Fire Eye Lab was completed and went into operation on schedule after just 5 days. Its testing capacity soon exceeded the projected 10,000 a day.
科研人员就是战役的突击队，国家有难的时候，科研人员必须要义无反顾地冲上去。
Cheng Jing, director of Capital Bio Corporation, had been involved in the battle against SARS in 2003. He and his team worked round the clock to develop a biochip for COVID-19 testing. Within a week, they had succeeded. The new chip they created delivered test results faster than almost anything else in the world.
17年前要花5个多小时才能检测一个样品，这17年后呢，1个半小时就完成19个病毒的同步检测。
Cheng Jing's center sent a team of virologists to Wuhan to support the local medical workers. Many in the team were young scientists in their 20s. On the first day of the Chinese New Year, 7 young people returned to work at their cafe in Wuhan, They didn't do so to make money. They wanted to make free coffee for the frontline medical workers. After their story went viral, a national campaign was launched online to raise money for making more coffee for the medical workers. The small cafe received more than 3 million yuan from the online campaign. They used it all to make coffee for medical workers. Everybody wanted to contribute. People who were obeying the physical distancing guidelines could still get together remotely to support a good cause. The reality was that just by obeying the stay-at-home order, people were contributing to the fight against COVID-19.
宅家里，不聚众，聚众感染有危险。
Numerous ordinary people were fighting the virus in their own way.
胡爹爹，你跟着看一眼啊。
再给你个人现在，
来，
现在带的，完了人。
哎，好。
每天我们将近有6吨的货要到门店，10元爱心菜是2000份，再加上其他的蔬菜套包有3000多份。其实不是不怕，职业的使命，让我们选择这样一直坚持下来，一直做。
有人说我们是逆行者，其实跟一线的医生护士相比起来，我们做的都微不足道。我们就想让他们吃得好点，穿得舒服点。专门给你们带过来的饺子，你们这边就是下班饿了可以就是自己蒸着吃啊。
赶紧抬着，打扫了，这个扫了，谁拿的？时间很短，要保证这个菜色的温度，保证病人吃放心。
上来啦！
我们从2月中旬开始，每天做5000多个馒头，免费送给社区的老人。到现在已经做了将近10万个馒头。
In this people's war, everybody has been working together and no one has been sitting idly by. Every one of the country's 1.4 billion people has done all they can to resist the virus. Such is the inherent strength of a people united.
我们人民顾大局，讲大义。我们无数的基层在奋斗的这个志愿者、社区工作者、公安、民警等等等等，无数的人，我觉得都自动自觉的加入到抗疫的这个行列。中国这次能够防控成功，就是政府的英明的决策，然后全国人民的这种协同努力。
In this war, other political parties, federations of industry and commerce, and prominent people without party affiliation all stood together with the Communist Party of China. They made use of all the available human, physical, and intellectual resources to win the many difficult battles. The CPC is always mindful that everything is for the people. On the evening of March the 24th, President Xi talked to Polish President Andrzej Duda. He said that the strength it took to win the battle against COVID-19 was derived from the people and that the people were the real heroes. By relying on the people, China could conquer any difficulty and overcome any obstacle, and so accomplish the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Those who give us strength and confidence to win this battle against the epidemic are the Chinese people. The people are the true heroes. Only by relying upon the people can we conquer all difficulties and obstacles and accomplish the rejuvenation of China. The epidemic was a major test of China's governance system and capability. The COVID-19 control and prevention efforts once again proved the effectiveness and advantages of the CPC's leadership, the socialist system, and the governance structure. China demonstrated its ability not only to overcome difficulties and obstacles domestically, but also to contribute in a significant way to the international community. Since the beginning of the war on COVID-19, President Xi, in numerous high-level meetings, repeatedly emphasized the importance of several key principles: remaining firmly rooted in reality, embracing a wider vision, generating new knowledge from experience, and learning from mistakes. He also stressed the need to seize the opportunity to rectify deficiencies, address shortcomings, and strengthen weaknesses. In a June 2 meeting with experts and scholars, President Xi reflected on the experience of fighting COVID-19. He provided a concise exposition on the strategic role of public health policy. He also expounded on the need to reform and perfect the disease control and prevention system, develop the epidemic response mechanism, and raise the quality of public health services. He stressed that only by developing a strong public health system, improving the early warning and response mechanisms, comprehensively enhancing the capacity for prevention, control, and treatment, weaving a tight prevention and control network, and consolidating the wall of quarantine, could we provide a strong guarantee for safeguarding the people's health. History tells us that a way can always be found to resolve conflicts. Inevitably, the advantages of a sound political system are highlighted through practice. Even as China spent the period from February to April fighting the epidemic, it continued to work for the goals of a better-off society and alleviating poverty. On February the 23rd, President Xi presented a comprehensive plan for promoting the prevention and control of the new coronavirus epidemic, simultaneously with economic and social development. In late February, the Xinbao Electrical Appliances Company in Shunde, Guangdong, received many emails from clients expressing their thanks for delivering their goods on time. In spite of the epidemic, the company received more orders than usual in March and April. The secret to its success lay in a decision to upgrade its technology. Even amid the crisis, like many other Chinese companies, it sought to revamp itself and turned crisis into opportunity. Building a moderately prosperous society in an all-round way means leaving no one behind. On March the 6th, the CPC Central Committee organized a symposium on poverty alleviation. It was the largest gathering held to address the subject since the party's 18th National Congress in 2012. President Xi called on all the participants to take effective steps to minimize the impact of COVID-19 and bring about complete victory. By mid-March, COVID-19 was spreading across the globe. China, while supporting the international effort to fight the pandemic, was turning its attention to Chinese citizens overseas. Working with other governments, it sought to ensure the safety of its people and to support those encountering difficulties. Economically, COVID-19 was having a devastating impact worldwide. In China, the restart of normal social and economic life was also encountering difficulties. In Zhejiang, Shanxi, and Shanxi, President Xi inspected progress in the restart of various industries, in ecological construction, and in the poverty alleviation and economic transformation effort. He pointed out that crisis and opportunity often coexist, and that a crisis could be overcome by seizing the opportunity for development. He encouraged people, however difficult the situation, to seek creative opportunities for development. In late May, the National People's Congress and Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference convened. Delegates from frontline regions in the battle against COVID-19 held consultations on the most challenging issues, with a view to helping the country make better strategies and policies. President Xi stressed that disease control and prevention is a long-term endeavor in which everyone should strive to their utmost to guarantee ultimate success. Based on an analysis of the overall economic situation, he encouraged people to find new opportunities in the fast-changing world. As the world continues to fight COVID-19, there is a long way to go before final victory can be claimed. Under its plans for disease control and prevention, China has outlined specific policies for ensuring stability in the areas of employment, financial operations, foreign trade, and foreign and domestic investment and expectations. The country is determined to ensure job security, meet people's basic living needs, protect the operation of market entities, guarantee food and energy security, maintain stable industrial and supply chains, and ensure the normal functioning of primary-level governments. The Communist Party of China is rooted among the Chinese people and is tied to the people by blood. As a Marxist party with the primary purpose of serving the people, it experiences ups and downs, triumph and disaster together with its people. In the war against COVID-19, the CPC, in leading the 1.4 billion Chinese people through the unimaginable difficulties, has exhibited great heroism, manifested the core values of socialism, and exemplified the powerful influence of traditional Chinese culture. Every life deserves respect. Everyone is a warrior. Every battle is historic. In this people's war, China has relied on its people, its political system, and the power of unity, love, and courage.
中华民族历史上经历过很多磨难，但从来没有被压垮过，而是越挫越勇，不断在磨难中成长，在磨难中奋起。
With the arrival of spring, normal life started to resume. In the war on the epidemic, China has overcome every manner of trial and difficulty. In one fierce battle after another, the Chinese nation has exhibited a great heroic spirit. This war has strengthened the 1.4 billion Chinese people's faith that they can achieve their goals of eliminating poverty and building a moderately prosperous society. Their success has shown that no force can halt the Chinese nation's advance towards its great rejuvenation.
就